Hey there, Florida League fans. Welcome to the first ever 2017 Florida Collegiate Summer League Google Hangout. We're going to be doing this every week. It's a new feature for us with all the broadcasters of the Florida League teams. I am Phil Chinnery, Director of League Operations with the Florida League. I'm here with David Bloomberg from the Altamont Springs Scorpions,
Hey.
Luke Hallett from the DeLand Suns.
I have no video.
We've got Cody Shook from the Sanford River Rats. We've got Kevin Valine from the Winter Garden Squeeze and the one and only Casey Wright from the Winter Park Diamond Dogs. We're going to talk about the week in review. We're actually going to go all the way back to opening day, so the past 10 days of action in the Florida League. We opened up on June 1st, and we're just going to get a general overview of what every team has done so far. These standings currently has the DeLand Suns in first place with a record of 3-2. The River Rats are in second at 4-3. The Altamont Springs Scorpions have played 8 games thus far. They're 4-4. The Squeeze are 3-3, sitting in fourth place, and the Diamond Dogs and Lightning are both 2-3, tied for last in the league. So what we're going to do now is go around to each team and have each broadcaster talk for a little bit about what they've seen so far. So to start off, we're going to go with the Altamont Springs Scorpions. David, take it away.
All right, so thus far the team is 4-1 at home, 0-3 on the road. Home has been way more friendly to us. Probably some of that has to do with the fact we're playing on a high school field, so the power alleys out in right and left, you have 315 in right field, 325 in left. So guys, they can get a fly ball up in the air. It doesn't take long for it to reach the wall. So in general, team has struggled a little bit on the pitching end, but that's to be expected in a collegiate summer league and a wood bat league like this, especially when you're playing on smaller fields. The really standout performer thus far is Ray Alejo, who has an over 1,400 OPS through 8 games. That's really, truly phenomenal, and it's kind of amazing. He's got 40 plate appearances. He's been leading off for the team. He's played shortstop the last few games. He started at center field. Been a truly extraordinary hitter. The other guy who's hit real well with an over 1,000 OPS is Rigsby Mosley. He's just started getting into the starting lineup the last several games. He had been being used as kind of a utility outfielder up to that point, but he's looked real nice in the action he's seen as well. On the pitching side, you have Eric Keating, who we've had several relievers do real well, Matthew Osset, Trey Vanderweide, David Litchfield, but Keating is really the one who's had the standout performance thus far. Way back on Wednesday, he posted 5 innings of nearly perfect game baseball. The only base runner he allowed through 5 innings was on an error. Otherwise, he struck out 7, didn't walk a single hitter, didn't allow a single hit. His breaking pitch was just dominating. It was getting over the plate. It was low in the zone. It was cutting hitters off at the knees. It was basically everything you want to see from a pitcher out on the mound. He's a Division I guy, and he really looked the part on Wednesday, especially. So the team, basically, the teams, it's been real. The home field has been extremely friendly to them. Starting pitching hasn't been bad. They've used basically every pitcher in their arsenal, and so some of it has just been trying out different guys and trying to mix and match with the bullpen, and they've kind of started to settle into a solid bullpen rotation of the guys who they really know are like the most reliable in close games. For me, it should be interesting to see what they do going forward because of that. The other big news note is that, we had a big injury, which our starting center fielder, Bryant Harris Jr., got injured. He was the opening day starting center fielder. He started the first 3 or 4 games out there at the position. Since he got hurt, we've been splitting up the center field time between Luca Fiscardo and Ray Alejo, who was the starting shortstop, but try out center field, and thus far he's looked pretty good out there. So given the nature of that injury, we don't know the exact severity of it, but given that it's likely a hamstring, that means we're probably not going to see him for a while. So it's going to be really important for the team to keep mixing and matching those guys, especially at the back end of the lineup, trying to find pieces that they can mix and match. And really, that's all there is to it. He's a really key player, and losing him hurts, but the team's been able to cover for it with a whole collection of utility players. They've been able to move guys all around the field, and that's really helped.
Yeah, definitely. And the Scorpions so far, they lead the league in runs scored. They've got 44 runs in 8 games. They're putting up about 5.5 runs per game. Offense, they're swinging it great. And they have 19 extra base hits on the year, 14 doubles, a triple, and 4 home runs, all of which lead the league in the respective categories. So that's a team that can definitely swing it. The pitching staff, second in league. Or excuse me, sorry, that was hitting. They're second in hitting with a 257 average. Their pitching staff has a 3.91 ERA. So those are some guys that are giving up some runs, but like you said, playing on the small Brantley field definitely affects that. So that's the report from David Bloomberg in Altamont. We appreciate that. And next we're going to go to DeLand and Luke Hallett. Tell us about the first place DeLand Suns.
So the Suns, they've actually had 3 games canceled so far, back-to-back against the Lightning. Their opening day game at home was canceled as well against Winter Park, but they started out pretty well, 2-0. They headed to Winter Garden for their past series, dropped 2-3. They still are in the league lead, like you said, at 3-2. They're actually fairly different from Altamont in that they haven't been batting very well. The leader in batting average for them is Zach Watman at 400, but he only has 5 at-bats. Otherwise, it's Will Hodges at 273 with 22 at-bats. Last year's second runner-up, I guess you could say, for MVP, Jay Hayes, only batting 176. I'm sure he'll pick it up, but a little discouraging at first. But the strength has really been the pitching. And I was talking to Coach Rick Hall about this a little bit, and he said that the hitters have been doing a good job finding the strike zone, really finding where they need to go. Really, when the starting pitching fails is when the team has been having trouble. Last night, they ended up losing 8-3. They gave up some runs early, and then a couple more later in the game. They really didn't have a chance to get back. But I guess the star pitcher so far maybe has been Cooper Kane. He's come into relief twice and pitched 4 innings each time, 8 innings in total. Only given up 1 earned run, 2 walks, and 9 strikeouts. So Kane's probably been the most consistent pitcher they had. I mean, they've gotten spot starts from guys, but Coach Hall really likes to utilize his bullpen. Right now, I'm sure he's just testing out different hitters, different pitchers, seeing who works where. But the Suns definitely need to work out some kinks offensively. As soon as they do that, I think they'll be a pretty solid team. But, yeah, that should be the majority of it. They have a couple games this week. They'll be back at home on Monday and then head across the road to Sanford on Tuesday.
Yeah, it's pretty rare to see the team that's in first place actually has the lowest batting average in the league. The Suns are only hitting 194 on the year, but like you said, pitching has been their strength because they lead the league. They have a 2.25 ERA through the 5 games that they've played. So the arms are definitely carrying that team right now. I know they've got some help coming in on the mound. Trey Vickery from Florida Gulf Coast is going to be reporting on Monday for the Suns. So that should give them a boost as well and keep that pitching staff pretty strong. So thank you, Luke, for the report on DeLand. Next up, we're going to go to Cody Shook, broadcaster for the Sanford River Rats.
Hey, live here from the league office. It's a beautiful morning here, and the River Rats are 4-3 on the year. All 4 of their wins coming at Sanford Memorial Stadium, and their 3 losses coming on the road. So I asked Kevin Davidson about that last night, and he said, well, our players just love to play here. They look around, they see all their home fans. It's a great atmosphere, and they just can't figure it out on the road. They won on their second walk-off sacrifice fly in the bottom of the 10th inning against the Leesburg Lightning. So the Sanford River Rats, they rained out 2 games this week against the Diamond Dogs, unfortunately. And the first game of that series, the Bats were just unable to get going. And Kevin Davidson is very, very adamant about getting more aggressive at the plate and making adjustments throughout the game instead of waiting to the 8th or 9th inning. Because in the past 2 home games against the Lightning, the comebacks came in the bottom of the 7th, a 3-run inning, and then the bottom of the 8th, with a 5-run inning, and that came by a 3-run home run by Miles Symington. So the bats don't really get going until late for the River Rats, and head coach Kevin Davidson is just very upset about that. But one of the standout performers for the River Rats is the third baseman, Cody Orther. Maybe I'm a little biased because he's got such a great first name, but he's batting .476. He's 10 for 21, and he's got 4 RBIs. He had the game winner last night on the walk-off sac fly with bases loaded, nobody out, just poked the ball, got the job done, scored Omar Villeman. And then maybe the other hitter would be Miles Symington. He had a 3-run home run a couple nights ago against Leesburg to put that game out of reach. He's actually moved around. He's a freshman from Polk State. He's moved around the lineup. He's gone from the 2 spot down to the 5 spot. And then 2 nights ago, he was in the 8 spot. And Kevin Davidson said that he just wants to see Miles Symington get some more fastballs, get in those hitters' counts, and just drive the ball because Symington is a free swinger. And then Omar Villeman last year batted over 400. This year he's batting .310 with 1 double, and he's 9 for 29. So there by some of the Sanford River Rats players. And then the pitcher would have to be Vladimir Nunez. They're on 6 1/3 innings. He's given up 1 run, but it was unearned. He is 1-1 on the season and with 7 strikeouts. So the offensive numbers are getting better every game, but they're still not where Kevin Davidson wants them to be. And then the pitchers, they are battling. And then after the win against Leesburg, I'd never seen a coach so mad after a win when I was in the locker room with them. Frank Foyaco threw a great game, but was unable to get a decision because the batters just never got anything going. So that is the report on the Sanford River Rats.
Yeah, Sanford is a very interesting team. Kevin Davidson, he leads the Florida League. He has the most wins in Florida League history, and he's a guy who definitely has his own style of play. One thing he loves to tell his players on offense is go ahead, you have the green light to run, take off as much as you want. And they've been doing that. They lead the league with 21 stolen bases. 3 of the top 4 stolen base leaders play for the River Rats. But they've also been caught 13 times already. So they're only 21 for 34 on steals. They've been thrown out a ton, and they're only hitting .254 on offense. And that does not help their pitching staff, which is last in the league with a 4.66 ERA. So the Rats are definitely going to look to turn it around on offense. One person from the River Rats I want to point out is C.J. Carter, reliever from Troy University, who's thrown 5 innings and has 11 strikeouts for the Rats. He's been basically unhittable. He's only given up 4 hits in those 5 innings. The 11 strikeouts. He's a sidewinder guy. Batters are having a terrible time trying to pick up the ball out of his hands. He's only given up 1 extra base hit so far. He's looked really good out of the pen for the Rats. So I just wanted to make sure he got his shout out there. And you mentioned Cody Orther, who leads the league in hitting with a .476 average. And the Rats currently sitting in second place with a 4-3 record. So with that, we're going to move on to the Winter Garden Squeeze, and we're going to talk with Kevin Valine. Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, so the Winter Garden Squeeze on the season sit at 3-3. They're just coming off a 2-1 series win against the DeLand Suns. And they've been a team that has been struggling a little bit on the hitting side, but they're getting some reinforcements coming in. Coach Welsh likes his team to be aggressive early in counts, and so far hasn't really paid off. A lot of quick innings, a lot of not so hard contact. The team's hitting just 198 on the season. But Coach Welsh is getting some guys in. Kyle Corbin just came back a few days ago. He was at Bethune-Cookman. His team went to the NCAA regional finals, and they lost on June 5th. So Corbin brings a lot of speed to the top of the lineup, and he's already 5 for 8 in 2 games, hitting .625. So they can slot Kyle Corbin at the top of the lineup. They're going to be getting Jacob Silverstein in on Monday. He's with Chipola. They won the JUCO World Series a few days ago, and Coach Welsh is also going to insert him into the top of the lineup. And so that's a lot of speed that he's going to be putting up there starting on Monday when they head to Winter Park to face the Diamond Dogs. Some of the top performers on offense, Kyle Corbin, just 2 games, but 5 for 8 for a .625, and he's also stolen 2 bases. You also look at Drew Frederick. He's hitting .333, hitting 6 for 18. He's been solid at the top. And then Cody Burgess, as always, he's cooled off a bit, .261 with a home run and an RBI. So they're still looking for big things from Burgess. But it really is about getting this whole team together. Once Silverstein gets in, the whole team's going to be there, and I think you're going to see a lot of speed at the top of the lineup, a lot of stolen bases, and a little bit stronger of an offense than we've seen in the first few games. On the pitching side, it's really been about the bullpen. You've got a couple of dominant arms at the back end. Coach Welsh really likes to go to Lance Johnson, a sidearm pitcher, whenever the situation is rough. 2 on, 1 out, always goes to Lance. 5 innings pitched, no runs, 1 walk, no hits, and 9 strikeouts in 5 innings. He's been as locked down as you can be. And Nick Nyarkos, 5 2/3, 9 strikeouts, and he's only given up 1 earned run. He played in the game last night against the DeLand Suns, and he came in and threw 3 2/3 innings, striking out 6. So it really is about the bullpen. Ryan Ashworth and Jared Neal have also been solid out of the rotation. Overall, the team has a 2.72 ERA, so they're really leaning on the pitching until the offense comes to full strength. And just getting a win at home for the first time last night and getting back to 500, I think Coach Welsh likes his chances with this team at full strength on Monday.
Yeah, no, you definitely touched on it. It looks like Winter Garden could use the help. I think Corbin's going to do that. He was an all-star last year for the Squeeze. This is his 2nd year in the league. Jacob Silverstein was an all-star with the Diamond Dogs last year. He's playing for the Squeeze this year. So that'll give a boost to the offense that's only hitting 198 on the season so far. They'll definitely be looking for that boost there. And then, like you said, the pitching staff has been great. 2.72 ERA, and they lead the league. They're holding opponents to a 194 batting average through 6 games. So the pitching staff has been there. Hopefully those bats will turn around for the Squeeze. And that's all we've got there. So we're going to move on to Casey Wright, who's going to talk to us about the Winter Park Diamond Dogs.
Well, the Diamond Dogs so far, they've started off with 3 cancellations to start the year, so they've only played 5 games, so we haven't seen so much for them right now. The pitching has been there, and it hasn't. The hitting has been there, and it hasn't. We started with the opening day at Bishop Moore. It was 8-1, the victory for DeLand. Hitting didn't show up. Pitching didn't show up. We flipped the script the next day versus Sanford, 6-1 win. The pitching showed up, and the offense showed up. I talked to head coach Chuck Shaw, and basically what he informed me was when we're on, and we're off, we're off. He said the start of the year is always going to begin that way. He's won the championship last year. He knows how to progress with his team, so we'll see how it goes down the road. Then we played the Scorpions in Altamont, fell 9-5, better game. Pitching was kind of there. 9 runs, a little bit too much. Hitting was definitely there that night. They had about 10 hits. And then moving to the next game, which was home, another 6-1 win, which is both of their wins, I think is ironic, 6-1 score lines. Pitching was absolutely there from starting to relief, and hitting was there as well. They didn't leave that many guys on base. It could have been a little bit more as well as the first game, and then they fell last night, which was actually a very, very interesting game. I don't know if you guys read up on last night's game, but they actually lost even though hitting 8 hits. They scored 2 runs, but they only gave up 4 hits, and you really have to go into the statistics to see why. The relief pitching actually was really good between Baker and Whitehead. Lagulo came in, though, and walked 3 guys, which kind of hurt him in the end. And they just could not get runs across, so a lot of base runners stranded as well. If we're going to go hitting and hitters, if we're going to look to the offensive side, Maglick is going to be the best hitter so far as average. If we look at his .438 average, which is actually 2nd in the lead, and we look at Matt Mackey, who just committed to Northwest Florida State College, and he has been hitting superb. .350 batting average, 3 RBIs, 7 hits, 1 double, including a monstrous home run. Has struck out a little bit, but he's going to be that core in the lineup at the beginning of the year to move on a little bit down the road. Christian Rivera returning once again, brought from Chuck Shaw. He was on the Boom last year, now Scorpions, but he's over with the Diamond Dogs now, batting .200, but 6 RBIs for Christian Rivera, which is tied for 2nd in the league with 4 other players as well. So those are my 2 offensive guys who have been playing extremely well. As far as the pitching goes, it could be a toss-up. Connor Andrews is my favorite guy right now. He has pitched 4 innings, not allowing a hit with 4 strikeouts. He's only coming for relief yet, hasn't started. Did pick up the win on the 5th versus the Rats as far as coming into the game a little bit late. And then you really could go around the top of the list too. Matthew Sneed, 3 innings. He's only given up 2 hits, struck out 3, ERA 0. Brett Scher, also really, really good, 4 innings and 4 strikeouts as well. So the pitching has been there. It's going to be back and forth. Looking towards playing Winter Garden, I think that'll be a very, very good matchup as far as the hitting and pitching goes. A lot of speedsters on Winter Garden. We have 2 very good catchers, Olivier from Embry-Riddle and Felton, who actually hit a home run last night from Armstrong State. So it's looking like to be a good series. 2-3, like we said on the season, but it's very early, and I'm looking for brighter things as far as the offense and the pitching goes. If they can stay consistent, they will play very good this season.
Yeah, Winter Park has been an interesting team to me. They actually lead the league in hitting with a 268 team average, but they're last in the league in runs scored. They've only scored 20 runs through their 5 games. So they have no trouble getting guys on base. Casey mentioned they had 8 hits the other night, but only scored 2 times. That's actually been the case in a number of games where guys are getting on, but they just can't bring them in. So Coach Chuck Shaw is going to look to turn that around. And on the pitching side, one thing I found interesting in the past 2 games against the Altamont Springs Scorpions, we talked earlier about how that's probably the best offense in the league right now. Winter Park has held them to 6 total hits over the past 2 games, 2 on Friday, 4 on Saturday. But again, they had trouble scoring runs. So they got the win on Friday. They did not win last night. So that's going to be an issue for the Diamond Dogs to see if the bats can get going there. I know they've got some help coming in. Brandon White, a freshman outfielder from West Virginia, is going to be reporting next week, along with teammate Riley Trout. He's a right-handed pitcher. Both of them Mountaineers. They played in the College World Series Regionals, where they lost in their regional championship game. So they're coming back fresh off a playoff run out of the Big 12, and that should hopefully help out the Diamond Dogs a little bit as they look to climb out of the cellar with the 2-3 record currently. We do not have a Leesburg intern, broadcast intern, so I just want to touch on them real quick. They are 2-3 on the season. They dropped a game in extra innings to the Sanford River Rats last night that Cody talked about earlier. Top hitters for the Lightning thus far, Camden Williamson out of North Carolina A&T hitting .385 on the year, as well as Tristan Goggin out of Southeast Missouri State hitting .350 with 4 doubles already on the year, which is second in the league behind Jacob Corso of Altamont. On the pitching side for Leesburg, Michael Johnson has been fantastic out of the pen. One start, 1 pen. He's 7 innings, given up 0 earned runs with 6 strikeouts. And Tyler Perry, 5 2/3 innings with 5 strikeouts, also has not given up an earned run. So Coach Rich Billings out there in Leesburg, he has a pretty solid squad overall. They aren't great at anything, but they're not the worst at anything. They're a mid-pack team, both hitting and pitching. So he's going to look to improve on that and take the Lightning back to the championship. So that's the coverage of the 6 teams thus far through week number 1. So I want to ask you guys right now, who do you think would be your player of the week? And we'll go all the way back to opening day. So think back to June 1st, last Thursday, all the way up to yesterday's games. 10 days of play so far. Who is your team MVP and your team Cy Young? We'll start with, let's go Winter Garden. You start.
Well, the team Cy Young first. We have some good starters, but I'd really have to go to the bullpen, and I'd go with Lance Johnson. 5 innings pitched. He's already pitched in 4 games this season, 9 strikeouts and 1 walk. Really, Coach Welsh goes to him in every single high-leverage situation. He's not the closer, but he comes in 6th or 7th inning with 2 runners on, 1 out, and Lance Johnson always comes through. He's really saved a couple of games for the Squeeze. So for the Cy Young through the first 10 games or however many, we've only played 6 games, it would be Lance Johnson for me. Top hitter, team MVP, we really haven't seen too much from these hitters. Would probably go with Drew Frederick. He's played the most 5 games, 18 at-bats. He's hitting .333, hits at the top of the lineup, and him along with Cody Burgess really starts off the lineup strong. He's got good speed with 2 stolen bases already on the season. Not driving the ball too much, just 1 extra base hit, but he's consistent at the top of the lineup, getting things started. And hopefully the team will hit better, but for now, Drew Frederick would be team MVP offense.
All right, let's go to Altamont. David, who you got?
Yeah, the team MVP top hitter, I think, is obvious. It's got to be Ray Alejo. He's moved from shortstop to center field near seamlessly, has done what's been asked of him. He sets the table at the top of that lineup excellently. Like I said, on over 1,400 OPS through 8 games. Just really brilliant, just crazy. He's getting on base a ton. His on-base percentage is nearly 600. He's already got 3 home runs, 2 of which basically single-handedly won a game for Altamont in that 14-inning extra innings thriller. So really just he has to be the guy. He's an extraordinary player who's doing everything that's asked of him right now, moving around the field, doing everything he can. And the team Cy Young has to, we've used pretty much every reliever in the book, and unlike, with Winter Garden, we don't really have anybody we've used 4 or 5 times out of the bullpen. But the guy who has to be the Cy Young is Eric Keating, whose start was just that good. I mean, it's only one start, but it was of that highest quality. 5 innings, 7 Ks, not a single hit or walk allowed, the only base runner on an error. It doesn't get a whole lot better than that early on in the season. So thus far, it's got to be Keating and Alejo who are the guys for the Scorpions.
All right. Luke, out in DeLand, talk to me.
So I think for the hitter, as I said earlier, not a lot of prolific hitters so far, but I'm going to go with Zach Goebel. He only has 4 hits on the year, but one of them's a home run. He leads the team in RBIs with 5, also walked once, hit by a pitch twice. Only batting .222, but, I mean, there's not a lot of great batting averages on the Suns team, and he's looking like one of the stronger hitters that's going to emerge from this team. Pitching-wise, I talked about Cooper Kane earlier, and I think it's got to be him just because he's thrown the most innings, even as a reliever, appeared twice, and he's got, a below 1 whip, a high strikeout to walk ratio, 9 strikeouts in 8 innings, only 2 walks allowed, only 1 earned run, 5 hits. So Cooper Kane has been solid. He's been the Cy Young even as a reliever, mainly because we haven't had too many starts yet, and a lot of these starting pitchers haven't gotten a lot of exposure or a lot of innings yet. So Cooper Kane for me. All
right. Cody, out in Sanford, who you got?
I think the offensive MVP has to be Cody Orther. He is batting the league high .476 a couple of games ago. He kind of practically won the game for him. He went 4 for 4 with 2 RBIs, and in that game it raised his average to .714, which is unheard of, but it was still early in the season. But that basically got them the win. And on the base pass, he's got 2 stolen bases, and he's just a threat when he gets on, whenever he gets on. His on-base percentage over 500 through this point. He's only made 2 errors in the field, so I think Cody Orther has to be the offensive MVP for the River Rats. And then the pitching MVP has to be Frank Fogliaco. He has 1 start and 1 appearance from the bullpen, pitched 7 2/3 innings, given up 6 walks and 1 earned run. And a couple of days ago, he got the no decision, but a great outing from him.
All right. And then Casey in Winter Park, who are your guys?
So Winter Park is tough for the offensive side, clearly because there's so many players right now. They're just getting into the swing of things. Christian Maglick is probably going to be the #1 guy right now. He's got the .438 batting average, 7 hits in 16 at-bats, a double. He doesn't have the RBIs. This could be a co-award for me because it's tough to pull away from Mackey, who's got 3 RBIs, 7 hits as well. And then you look at Christian Rivera. It's a .200 average, but don't let that fool you. 3 hits and 15 at-bats, but he's got 6 RBIs and 3 walks, so the guy gets on base. So that's really tough for me to pick one person, so I'd like to give it to all 3 of them if I could for right now, just because it's so early in the season. We've only played 5 games. Pitching side is also very tough, but I think I'm going to go with Connor Andrews merely because he has really shut the door when he's came in games. 4 innings, 4 strikeouts, only 2 walks, and also he's given up no hits as well.
All right. Just from the Leesburg side, I'm going to go with Camden Williamson for them on offense, leads the team with a .385 average. You can also make a case for Tristan Goggin with his 4 doubles in 20 at-bats, so he's doing really Mike Ruff has thrown 8 innings with 8 strikeouts. He's only given up 2 earned runs on the year. And then Michael Johnson, I mentioned earlier, out of the pen, 0 earned runs in his 7 innings over 2 appearances. So with that, that is your week 1 of the 2017 Florida Collegiate Summer League weekly recap. Like I said, we're going to be doing this every Sunday for the rest of the year, so be sure to tune in and follow us on social media at Florida League. Spell it all out. We'll link it on all the team pages as well. So for David, Luke, Kevin, Cody, Casey, and myself, Phil Chinnery, that's it. That's all we've got for you, and we will see you next week.
Out.